Okay, so we can select elements from the DOM using multiple methods. We can navigate to related elements using certain properties, and we can manipulate elements by changing their inner text, inner HTML. We can change the styles. Now I want to show you how we can create elements in JavaScript. So we can create any DOM element that we want and then insert it into the document wherever we want using specific methods. So in many cases, you'll want to create a new element and then insert it into the document on some kind of event. So an example would be with this shopping list, ultimately we want to type something in here, click the button, add item, and have it get added to the list. Now we're going to go over events in the next section, but the next few videos in this section, we're going to do some of the stuff that usually would happen after an event is fired off. All right, I just want you to know how to insert things, remove things, etc., create things. All right, so let's jump into our script.js for this section. And what I'm going to do is create a variable here called div, because that's what I want to do is I want to create a new div. So we can take our document object, and there's a method called create element. So we're going to run that, but we need to pass in the type of element that we want to create. And of course, it's going to be a div, judging by the name of the variable. Now we can console log that div. And this doesn't do anything to the page just yet. All it does is basically just creates it in memory from our JavaScript. It's not placed in the page just yet. Now we can add attributes to this div. So I'll go right here and I'll say, let's do div dot, and we've already looked at some of these like class name. So let's say I want to add a class name of my element. And if I save now, you'll see that I have a div and it now has a class attribute of my element. If I wanted to add an ID, I could say div ID and set that to, we'll just use my element again. So now it has a class and an ID. We can also use the set attribute. Remember that set attribute method. So we can say div dot set attribute, and let's say we wanted to add a title to the div, and we'll just say my element. And if I save that, now you can see it also has a title. So you can create it and then you can add whatever you want to it. Now as far as what I want to put in it, because right now that it's just an empty div, so we can add something to it by using, well, there's a few ways to do it. The easy way to do it would be to use inner text. So we could do like div dot inner text and set that to whatever, hello world. If I save that, now you'll see in the console this div has the text of hello world. However, using inner text is not the best way to do this when creating a new element. It's really meant to, inner text is really meant to get and change the text of an already existing element. It's better to create a new text node with the create text node method and then append it to the element. Okay, because remember when we talked about nodes, there's element nodes, there's also text nodes, and we can create those. So what I'm going to do is just comment that out, and let's create a new variable called text and set that to document dot, and then let's say create text node. And then in here, we'll put the text that we want in it, which will be hello world. Okay, and then we need to add that text node to our div, and we can do that by using the append child method. So we can say append child and then text. I save, and now down here you can see that hello world has been put into this div. Now, append child is a very important method that you're going to need to understand because you're going to use it all the time. And it's easy to understand. It appends a child to, whether that's an element or whether that's a text node, it appends it to or inserts it into whatever this is. So in this case, we're putting the text inside of the div. Now we want to use append child to put it on the page as well. And where you want to put it or what you want to append it to is up to you. It could be anything. So let's get rid of this console log, and let's say we just want to put it at the end of the body, or at the end of inside of the body. We could just do document.body append child and then pass in our div. And if I save that, you'll see that hello world is now put at the very bottom. So if we were to inspect our element here, it's right before the ending body tag. Okay, it's above the scripts and stuff and the live server stuff, but it's after everything else. All right, now if you wanted to put it, let's say, at the end of this UL, this unordered list, then instead of document.body, we could do document, and then we could select, let's say, query selector, and select the UL, and then we could just say append child, and then append the div there. I save, and now it's going to be inside of the UL at the very end. Now, what I want to do in the next video is actually insert an item that looks just like this with the text and the button. So I'm going to actually give that to you as a challenge, because everything you need to know we've already gone through, and most of it is right here for you to be able to do that. So we can do it as a challenge. If you don't want to, you just want to follow along, that's absolutely fine. But that's what we'll do next.